graduate of Bishop Ward High School in 1951. And whereas Dwight earned an associate's degree in engineering from Kansas City Junior College and enlisted in the United States Air Force in 1953. And whereas Dwight rose to the rank of captain, flying high performance jets, training at the Aerospace Research Pilot School, and serving as a test pilot at Edwards Air Force Base. And whereas while serving proudly in the Air Force, Dwight earned a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering from Arizona State University. And whereas Dwight was a trailblazer as the first African-American astronaut candidate, advancing to the second phase of the training course in the face of great pressure and prejudice. And whereas in 1963, despite Dwight's accomplishments and qualifications, he was not selected for astronaut group 3 and resigned from the Air Force in 1966 after a highly distinguished career. And whereas Dwight went on to earn a master's degree in sculpture from the University of Denver in 1977 and became a celebrated sculptor, recognized worldwide for the creation of works that tell African-American history, including, quote, evolution of jazz, unquote, and a sculpture of President Obama's first inauguration. And whereas on May the 19th, 2024, Ed Dwight, a man who personifies the Kansas state motto, ad astra per aspera, became the oldest person to travel to space, breaking the record previously held by actor William Shatner. And whereas Kansans applaud and celebrate Dwight's contributions to the historical, artistic, and social fabric of Kansas and the nation as he continues to create and inspire from his studio and gallery in Denver, Colorado. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the state of Kansas that we honor the life, career, and trailblazing achievements of Kansas icon, Ed Dwight. And be it further resolved that we seek to permanently display Ed Dwight's art in a prominent place in and around the capital of Kansas to forever commemorate the brilliant work of a great Kansan. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Senate shall send one enrolled copy of this resolution to Ed Dwight and to Senators Haley and Baumgardner. That is Senate Resolution number 1702. We do have parchment available. I did not bring it, Mr. Mayor, Commission, Mr. Dwight, but I will have the address and have it forwarded. We too applaud, and this was passed again on June the 18th of this year, 2024. Congratulations again, Mr. Dwight, and I thank the personal privilege that was afforded to me by the commission this evening.
We are going to have the commission and mayor take a quick picture as the mayor presents Mr. Dwight with his proclamation, Key to the City, and his proud recognition.
welcome Mr. Dwight to the table.
And this is all obviously way out of my league and overwhelming. Uh, I, uh, I don't know where to start the thank yous. Mayor Garner, I guess I need to start with you and, about the key to the city. And then the staff, Levert Murray and Tony Lee and Chris Davidson and all the folks that made the trip smooth for me and Barbara. But the message I have is Kansas City is in my blood. And if it wasn't for Kansas City, none of this. Well, I mean, did I do that? Yeah.
We had to make sure it got in space.
Oh. No, but if it wasn't for, there were two factors that allowed me to take life by the neck and go for things. And one was my mom, Georgia Dwight, who a lot of you in the audience had affiliations with. But she was an incredible visionary. I'm not going to make this long. I'll make it as short as I can. But she was an incredible visionary, starting me at school, Keeling, in preschool when I was 2. All kind of creative art classes down at the YAD, some of the Quindera. When I was 4, library card. And it was very, very fascinating about this library card stuff because my mom looked like she was white. And we went down to the public library on Minnesota Avenue and they wouldn't give me a library card because they couldn't give library cards to the colored kids. So I ended up she referred us to Northeast Junior high school library and said, we think he can get a card there. So I went up and they didn't want to give me a card because I was only 4 years old. And so my mom rebelled and said, they thought I was going to tear up their books. And she says, no, he'll be your best customer. And it turns out that I was their best customer. And there's an interesting story about life and how life works. At Northeast Junior High School, because of the art thing, the mom had me got started. I was going there studying all the great masters in the Renaissance times because I wanted to be a painter like all these great painters, Michelangelo and all those guys. And at 8 years old, the war started. And they put a packet of 7 Army Air Corps manuals in that library. And out of curiosity, now you got to understand that I had been going to the Fairfax Airport, which was in walking distance of my house, since I was a little bitty kid, 2 years old. Mom introduced me to flying and all that kind of stuff by going to the airport. So I actually worked at the airport as I was one of their mascots, cleaning the airplanes for airplanes that were flying out west to go hunting. I cleaned their airplanes when they got back from these hunting trips, and they pay me a nickel or a dime. And I said, God, I thought about this flying thing. I wonder how this flying thing works. When I cleaned the airplane, the whole bottom of these steermans were filled with beer bottles. And I said, God, I hate beer. I'm a little bit, I hate beer, so I'll never be able to fly an airplane because you got to drink beer to fly. But what ended up happening when the war started, and I was about 8 years old when the war started, they put a group of 7 manuals on how to train pilots for World War II. And out of curiosity, I checked those books out and I had them permanent checkout. And I was reading these books. Meantime, time passes on. For 8 years, I'm reading these books and going over the tests in the back of each chapter of these books. So I'm now in junior college, and Mom got me two paper routes for the Kansas City Call and the Kansas City Kansas when I was, and I threw papers all the way through college, by the way. And so on my call paper route, I was in school and I went up to pick up my call papers, and lo and behold, on the front page above the fold was a picture of Dayton Ragland, was from Kansas City, and he was a jet pilot flying in Vietnam, or Korea rather. And I looked at that thing and I said, my God, they're letting Black folks fly airplanes. So I went down and I applied for pilot training immediately, because I really didn't think that they were letting I didn't know anything about Tuskegee Airmen. And so I said, man, they're letting Blacks fly. And so uh, uh, they, I went to the recruiting office, they kicked me out, they told me I was too short and I stuttered, which was true, by the way. Uh, 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 but I wrote the Pentagon and I said, I want to fly. And Pentagon wrote me back and sent a team to my college. I was the first in line, and they sent me to Denver to test for pilot training. It was a 2.5-hour test. I sat down and I said, I've seen this stuff before. And lo and behold, the same questions at the end of each chapter. It was a 2.5-hour test. I finished it in about 25 minutes. And I walked up to the guy and I gave him the test. He said, "Well, too hard for you, huh?" And I said, "No, I think I might have missed 2." And that was true. I missed 2. And they carted me off to the Air Force, and that was the start of my career. But that was, to me, that was Kansas City. And that's what Kansas City represented to me. And all the opportunities. Going to Bishop Ward was a quiet reward in itself, because what it did to me, I was out there with those white kids, and all of a sudden I began to realize that they weren't any better than I was. And so I found out that I was on the honor roll, and both me and my sister Rita were honor students out there. And I saw myself being able to compete on an equal footing. So I was never afraid to go out in the universe and because there was nothing that told me in my head that I was not as good or better than than the average person. And the white folks did not, I did not fear them. I was not apprehensive about being around them. And it allowed me to compete with them on an equal footing, which in order for me to become an astronaut guy, that's another long story we can't get into today because we don't have time. But there was so much politics, and it's a really, really, really incredible story about how I got there, and the need in this country for engineers and scientists, because that's why I was chosen as a Black astronaut to increase, to make available more engineering and science careers and jobs for Black folks. And that's what the whole thing was originally about. And that's why I was not angry that I didn't go up in space, because my job was to put it on the minds and open the conversation in America, and open the conversation to the Black community, especially, that we can do things. That's what the whole thing was. And that's what my life has been about. All the things that I've done, it has to do with allowing, the historian part is to tell the white folks that we did something. We just didn't come over here and get on welfare. I mean, we did things, and that's what those 132 memorials that I have across the country and in Canada are all about. And they're educational, they're large, and white folks get more out of these things than a lot of our Black communities. So I want to thank the Mayor Garner, for staging this event. I want to say, there's a song was say, "I'm not worthy." That's a big song, and I don't want to get up here and say I'm not worthy, but Lord have mercy, this is really overwhelming for me. I've gotten a lot of awards in my space, but from Kansas City, it's a totally different deal. So, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I didn't know if the commission, or should I just plug forward? All right, so I'm actually honored to continue our celebration, and I want to introduce each honoree to accept their framed recognition, and we'll have the mayor, Commissioner Bynum and Commissioner Burrows take a picture with each of the honorees. What you'll note on the screen is that each of our honorees will have their logo and mission statement. And then I will actually share a bit of each of the individuals and organizations. But let's go ahead and do the two individuals. Mr. Bob Mylan served as U.S. Department of Labor for 33 years, retiring as a federal representative. He's a longtime member of the Northeast Optimists and an active member of the NAACP. Mr. Mylan is the longest serving public official in the history of Wyandotte County, with 32 consecutive years of service as a member of the Board of Directors of the BPU, or Board of Public Utilities, in Kansas City, Kansas. He's a tireless advocate for the citizens of District 1 and for Kansas City, Kansas at large. Mr. Mylan, please congratulate him. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take a theme from Pastor C this evening. I won't be here very long. I'd like to give God all the glory for blessing me for 90 years to be recipient of this award. I'd like to say that there are many, many persons behind me that's deserving of this award. I take it very seriously and be humble and blessed and thank God for this opportunity. Before that, I'd like to introduce my family, if I can. My lovely wife, Janet, please stand. My gracious daughter-in-law, Minnie. Next, my son, Robert Mullen Jr., Pastor Robert Mullen Jr. And my daughter, Sarita. Thank you. You know, when I look around the room, I feel more blessed than before. We have 3 persons here that we're all part of the same class. Eddie's 90, Chess on behind me is 90, and I'm 90 also. So you got 3 nines here tonight to be part of that class of 90. Eddie, you probably don't remember going back a number of years. I visited him at his home on Monaco Street in Denver many years ago. Do you still live there on Monaco Street in Denver? If not, you feel that? Thank you. But anyway, in close, I'd like to say thank you once again for all the persons that made this event possible, especially Mayor to be forthcoming and making sure you sort of recognize the people in our community. Thank you very much.
Our next individual honoree is Representative Luis Ruiz. He's a retired professional from Lucent Technologies, a member of the Kansas House of Representatives, representing District 31. He assumed office in 2005. Representative Ruiz is a tireless advocate for the Latino community, working Kansans, mental health, and a defender of voter rights and anti-discrimination policies. He is currently a ranking member on the Federal and State Affairs Committee. He authored Adrian's Act in honor of the late Adrian Jones, a 7-year-old boy tortured to death by his father and stepmother. Adrian's Law requires DCF, or a representative of the law enforcement agency investigating a report, to both visually observe and interact with children alleged to be victims of abuse and neglect. Please help us congratulate Representative Luis Ruiz.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioners and people who presented me with this. I'm deeply humbled and honored. You've heard that before. The two gentlemen that received awards before me hits my heart. Whenever I drive to Topeka and we're there till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning doing legislation, it's always good to come home. And with my family here, I was born at KU Medical Center, graduated from Rosedale High School. I won't tell you what year because you'll guess my age, but it's always good to be here amongst family and friends, and I know most people up here. And thank you very much for this honor, and God bless you all.
Okay, these next 15 agencies are committed and represent the vast diversity needs and communities in Wyandotte County. It is their dedication and service that move this community forward. Bethel Neighborhood Center is a community center organized by the Women's Baptist Home Mission Society in 1910. Today, they provide daily lunches, services to seniors, after-school and summer programming for youth, sewing training, health access, refugee services, and an annual Christmas shop for their clients. Please congratulate Bethel Neighborhood Center. Offering over 30 programs across Northeast Kansas, Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas is a ministry of the Archdiocese of Kansas City, Kansas, operating under 3 pillars: family strengthening, family stabilization, and respect of life services, with programs that include family support centers that provide emergency assistance, food pantries, and wraparound services for the most vulnerable, a men's transitional living program, workforce development, financial literacy, and refugee resettlement. Please congratulate Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas. Community Housing of Wyandotte County, CHWC, invests in the power of neighbors to build communities that thrive for generations by creating lasting assets for families through education, lending, building homes, and the operation of the Epic Arts, Split Log Farm, and the annual Third Friday Downtown Art Walks. Please congratulate CHWC. We gotta keep it. We gotta keep it. Congratulations. A trusted organization serving primarily the Latino community, El Centro is unapologetic about its Spanish first operations, operating under 4 pillars of early childhood education, community health, economic empowerment, and advocacy. Their programs inform, educate, and engage, enabling our Latino community to be lifelong learners, lead healthy lives, build financial assets, and affect positive change in our community. Please congratulate El Centro. Can you get them all? Scoot down. Friends of Yates is a comprehensive community agency that provides a full menu of community care and support, including domestic violence education, prevention services, youth and adult development, an emergency shelter, and resources to survivors of domestic violence and their families. Friends of Yates bases its work upon the principle that only when a community is united can a real tangible success come out. Please welcome Friends of Yates. Oh. All right, Giving Hope KC opened its doors in March of 2018 after Premier Pre-Owned Automotives in Kansas City transformed a building on their property into a food pantry. Giving Hope is a drive-through pantry providing approximately 600 households a month with much-needed food. Their goal is to serve the people in Wyandotte County and surrounding communities with not only nutritional meals, but respect, and dignity that everyone deserves. Please congratulate Giving Hope KC. Mr. Jerry Lee Jarrett passed away unexpectedly in September of 2019. Before he put any plans he had in motion for a new community center in Bonner Springs, his wife, daughters, and their church wanted to see his plans fulfilled, opening the Jerry Lee Jarrett Life Center for the people of Bonner Springs and surrounding areas, with programming for veterans, Pantry of Hope, Alcoholic and Narcotics Anonymous programs, and children in need of care services, which were near and dear to Mr. Jarrett's heart. Please congratulate the Jerry Lee Jarrett Life Center. Bonner is the dot.
Part of the dot, yeah.
This organization's motto is, wherever there is a need in Kansas City and Wyandotte County, you will find the Salvation Army. They assist struggling families, at-risk children, vulnerable adults in the community during emergencies and disasters with food pantries, rent and utility assistance, case management, shelter and housing, dance, music, homework assistance. Please congratulate the Kansas City, Kansas Salvation Army. K-State Research and Extension celebrates more than 100 years of services to residents in Wyandotte County. The office enriches the lives of our residents by providing free and low-cost opportunities to engage in lifelong learning, providing a balanced mix of programs in horticulture, family and consumer science, 4-H youth development, and community vitality. Please congratulate K-State Research and Extension of Wyandotte County. Mount Carmel Redevelopment Corporation was formed in 1994 to serve as the revitalization catalyst within the Mount Carmel neighborhood, with housing, food pantry, home ownership programs, transitional housing, strength-based case management, crisis intervention, financial counseling, senior outreach, and a partnership with the unified government that manages the Willow Multi-Service Center. Carries out a goal of uniting housing and human services. Please congratulate Mount Carmel Redevelopment Corporation. There we go.
had to help her walk.
I was like. Oak Ridge Youth Development School, established in 2006, is the ministry of Oak Ridge Missionary Baptist Church. The school provides admirable contributions to our society and grows strong academic and social youth with high self-esteem, morals, and integrity by providing summer enrichment programming, STREAM programs, financial literacy, character development, health curriculum, and physical fitness curriculum. Please congratulate Oak Ridge Youth Development. Bond Trent Community Services is a social service agency that serves residents of USD number 204, which is Bonner Springs in Edwardsville. They incorporated in 1989, naming the agency in honor of the late Marion Bond, mayor and civic leader from Bonner Springs, and the late Lindy Trent, mayor and civic leader in Edwardsville. Services include a food pantry, utility assistance, and annual Christmas baskets for families. Please congratulate Von Trent Community Services. Got a few more to go. Thank you, commissioners. All right. Vernon Multipurpose Center operates in a historical school building that educated African-American children and is listed on the Registry of Historic Kansas Places, a partner site with Freedom's Frontier National Heritage Area, and registered on the National Historic Places. The Vernon Center works to preserve the history of the school and improve the well-being of community members through healthcare information, recreation and exercise, volunteer support, and social activities. Please congratulate Vernon Multipurpose Center. Wyandotte Countyans Against Crime is a volunteer organization open to all in Wyandotte County who own property and businesses. By forming partnerships with schools, churches, government agencies, businesses, and others, the goal of the organization is to reestablish caring, sharing, and the feeling of pride in our community. The organization started Nights Out Against Crime in KCK and bought a neighborhood park from the city, and in 2013 planted an orchard in the food desert so people can enjoy fresh fruit, including 30 cherry, apple, pear, and blackberry trees. Please congratulate WCAC. All right, last but definitely not least. Youth Front offers a range of innovative programs for youth, families, and churches. They are committed to helping youth build faith, friendship, and leadership, and to provide support for families. Youth Front has served thousands of churches, youth, and families throughout the community with its youth program or youth camps, Family Resources and Counseling Centers. Please congratulate Youth Front. Commissioners, please, one more round of applause for the inaugural Dot Crowd recognition. We thank you all.
We'll take a 3-minute recess and reconvene here shortly.
A phone call. I hear you, right? I hear you, I hear you. All right. We got your backs. All right.
How are you? Good to see you. How's everything?
All right, take care.
We'll be starting the order of business for your Unified Government Commission meeting tonight. So thank you all again. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes.
Commissioner Haley, please go.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to go back into session. And again, thank you for all those unsung heroes and those organizations that really bring so much value to Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas, every day, just doing the things that really help make this community a great, safe place to live, work, and raise our families. And thanks to this commission for their patience, as well as them joining in and championing our organizations and our unsung heroes. And I believe that Commissioner Townsend has some comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry the room has emptied compared to where it was, but this will still be on the record. I wanted to commend you as the first African-American mayor of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, for making this really a historic night in a lot of ways. This was the best open mic night you ever sponsored. And to the staff, I know you put in a tremendous amount of time and effort in to pull this off, and you should be recognized. And though he isn't here, several of the other honorees aren't here. It was a thrill. I'm still full from being in the same room with Mr. Dwight. I remember as a kid being excited that he was going into space. I was quite young, but I didn't understand when they rolled when they rolled the TVs into the classroom at Dunbar to see the space launches, why he wasn't there. And why in Hidden Figures, if you recall, when the astronaut class walked past the workers at NASA, where was he? And we know the reason, it was racism then, but what happens to a dream deferred? And you saw tonight that he did not let those negative experiences stop him. And that is a tremendous thing. And he ends up going into space anyway, but he's had a full life and he did not let those negative experiences cancel out the creativity that was in him nevertheless. And he was so right about his experiences here in Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County, and how that prepared him. And he expressed what I felt when I went away from here and went to Penn. I knew I was just as good, could do just as well, hadn't had the experiences or maybe the material things, but that's the kind of confidence that this community instills in its people. And I hope the young people today still feel that when they go away. Thank you, Mr. Mylan, for your help to me when I decided I was going to run. He did not spare his wisdom and instruction. I appreciated that. I didn't know the other gentlemen quite as well, but congratulations to them and each of the organizations that were honored tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, I just want to say my cup runneth over. I text my mom then while all this was going on, because I was like, Mom, who is Edward Dwight? And she, she told me he was an astronaut. And then when I did my research, I was like, oh. My dad was in Vietnam. He was in the Navy. Let me try this. Is that better? Here we go. Oh my God, I thought it was a ballpark. So my dad was he was in Vietnam. He was a Kansas police officer as well, but he was involved with the 1966 Gemini splashdown, and he has a certificate from NASA because he was one of there was 3 guys in a raft that breached the pod and pulled them out, and he was the guy in the middle of this. It was one of the 3. But anyway, my mom was just texting me and was telling me that Dad talked about Dwight, Mr. Dwight, about he was because my dad was also at Area 51, where they were that at the time I believe were constructing fighter jets, like crazy faster fighter jets that we kind of see now. But and he talked about how there was a black pilot from KCK that he just met a few times, but so he definitely knew about him. But it just brings everything, all this, and my parents' history, everything just kind of brings everything to my cup runneth over, and I'm proud to be a dot too. I turned 48 last month, and I've been here all 48 years of my life, and I don't want to be anywhere else but here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate those words. That's going to take us to the third item on our agenda, which is it's just a recognition of the street renaming honoring Chester Owens and Lily Owens on the Struggler Hills Roots neighborhood area, and that celebration that occurred. I'd like to give a special thanks to Commissioners Townsend, Commissioners Bynum, and Commissioners Hill, who's not with us tonight, as well as our county administrator and my staff, some that are in the room, as well as the support from Strugglers Hill neighborhood group, really bringing this together to make this a great event, and all the community folks that were involved to make the recognition and championing of both Chester and Lily Owens and for their life work here in Kansas City, Kansas, something not just special, but memorable for all of us. So thank you to everyone here at the Unified Government for that was involved in that. And I think we owe this Unified Government a round of applause. Thank you. I believe that Rochelle Donald and Mr. Owens, if you would come forward, I believe you had some words.
Mayor Garner, and the commissioners and the county administrator. Thank you for approving the name of the street, Lily Ann and Chester Owens Lane. The event was a truly community event and was well attended by both Kansas and Missouri residents. I would like to thank Mr. Levert Mary, John Kelly, and his staff for a job well done. It was perfect. The event, July 19th, was also a special for me and my family. Strugglers Hill Roots Neighborhood Group, with the assistance of the Unified Government, honored me with the planned program. The event was well attended. I would like to thank Commissioner Bynum, Commissioner Hill, and Sheriff Daniel Soptic for their participation. The Parks and Recreation did a wonderful job. It warmed my heart to see neighborhood groups and the UG working in unison. Let's continue that and make Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County a stronger community. Thank you.
Mayor and Commissioners, I want to take the time to thank you. I'm the president, the new president of Strugglers Hill Roots Neighborhood Group. And I want to personally thank Commissioner Bynum, Hill, Townsend, and as Mr. Owens said, the Unified Government staff, Parks and Rec, Shea Lockett, and especially Mr. Murray. We thank Mr. Murray for his leadership. We thank him for just everything that he has done, for setting an example for the community, also for helping us to make sure that things are done decently and in order. And Mayor, we also thank you. One of the things that came out of the event on Saturday and also Friday was that, as Mr. Owens has stated, the importance of there being collaboration with the community and the unified government. It was a testament to see what was taking place. We have had people to call, we have had people to text about how they felt hopeful about change happening in the Northeast area. And not only that, they felt that a healing was coming. And I truly believe that this is a time for things to change here in KCK, but then also in Wyandotte County. And I do believe that healing is coming. We know that change is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. And we all have a responsibility to keep things going. So even tonight, as we listen to, Mr. Ed Dwight, and we listen to Mr. Owens, and we know, as Commissioner Burrows has stated earlier, about there is a deep concern that history is about to be lost. We have a responsibility, every person in this room, to see to it that our history is not lost. And not only that, but that we build and make history even better for KCK. So again, I thank you. I thank you for allowing us the time to be here. Thank you for everything that everyone has done to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owens and Ms. Donald, and to the Strugglers Hill Neighborhood Group. We really appreciate the impact you're making in the Northeast. Thank you so much. Next, we have the Colombian American National Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Annual Festival event was held on July 20th. And we have members that were there and they would like to have some words. So come forward. I attended that event as well and very well attended, very festive. And I enjoyed it, and I know how many others did as well. So, and a special thanks, I don't see Carlos here tonight, but with the Greater Kansas City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, who was also a huge sponsor of this event. And again, we appreciate the Unified Government being great partners with you all. So thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Administrator, Commissioners. My name is Orlando Gutierrez. I'm the President of the Colombian Cultural Association. And we had the privilege of celebrating Colombian independence in Kansas City, Kansas this past Saturday, as the mayor mentioned. It was a very, very successful event, despite the weather in the early part of the day. But we came tonight to thank you all for the cooperation, everything you did to help us in getting prepared for this event. I'm at the risk of sounding like a broken record, very much worthwhile. We want to thank Mr. Levert Murray because he was very instrumental. His guidance was vital for this to go smoothly for us. And we feel that we've found a new home for our celebration in Kansas City, Kansas, hopefully for a long time. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
And I want to thank you, Mayor, and all of you guys and Ms. Murray. This is kind of like the birthplace for Latin Quarters, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I'm just amazed to be part of history in the making. And this unbelievable event, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Mayor, you're doing an amazing job, and we're also going to do an amazing job next year. And like Orlando said, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all so much. And I believe someone had told me these festivals, they said, Mayor, why don't we really move towards making Kansas City, Kansas the community and the county of festivals in Kansas, everything from diversity to you've got all the parades that go on, the We Buy Black events in the Northeast, Bonner and Edwardsville have events. I talked to Leavenworth Road, trying to encourage them to bring back their event as well on Leavenworth Road as far as parades. So I know that just from my history and background that the Unified Government has always been a great partner in celebrating and championing festivals and events, because it does bring people from out of Wyandotte County to our area to really see the great things that Wyandotte County is about. We can really champion the good things that really represent Wyandotte County being that great place that we want all people to come to experience and to enjoy. So thank you all so much again for, we're looking forward to next year. So thank you. Thank you. That concludes that portion of our agenda. We'll now proceed with the items on the planning and zoning portion of the agenda. I'll ask the clerk to read the statement required by state law governing the planning and zoning portion of our meeting, followed by the items on the planning and zoning consent agenda.
Good evening. We would like to welcome all present to this meeting of the Unified Government Commission. Members of the commission are Mayor CEO Tyrone Garner, Commissioner Melissa Bynum, at-large District 1, Commissioner Tom Burrows, at-large District 2, Commissioner Gail Townsend, District 1, Commissioner Bill Burns, District 2, Commissioner Christian Ramirez, District 3, Commissioner Evelyn Hill, District 4, Commissioner Mike Kane, District 5, Commissioner Phil Lopez, District 6, Commissioner Chuck Stites, District 7, and Commissioner Andrew Davis, District 8. As each petition is called, all persons for or against will be given the opportunity to express their views. If this is the first time that a particular petition has been before the commission has 3 options. 1, it can approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission with 6 votes. 2, it can override the Planning Commission's recommendation, but it would take 8 votes to override. 3, it can return the matter to the Planning Commission for further consideration, together with a statement specifying the reasons for the referral back to the Planning Commission. The consent agenda is the first part of the planning and zoning agenda. Items on the consent agenda have received a unanimous vote of recommendation by the Planning Commission. Unless there is a request to set aside an item from the consent agenda by the applicant, a member of the public, the Unified Government Commission, or others, then the Planning Commission's recommendation on all of the items on the consent agenda will be adopted by the Unified Government Commission at one time. I will read the list of agenda items on the consent agenda, and when I have completed the list, the mayor will ask if there are any requests to set aside items from the consent agenda. This is your time to come to the microphone and provide the agenda item to be set aside if you do not agree with the Planning Commission's recommendation. If you're joining us virtually, this is your time to raise your hand and once acknowledged, provide the agenda item to be set aside. If you contacted the UG Clerk's office, that item will be set aside by the UG Clerk on your behalf. If an item is set aside, the matter will be discussed and voted on separately. All items not set aside will be approved with the Planning Commission's recommendation. We appreciate the attendance of those people here this evening, and we recognize the importance of each petition. We would, however, remind you that there are a number of items on the agenda, and we would appreciate your efforts to make your remarks as concise as possible. We ask that anyone with a cell phone, please turn them off or switch to non-audio so you will not disturb the meeting. If joining us virtually or by phone, we ask that you mute your phone when not speaking to avoid background noise so you will not disturb the meeting. Once the petitioners make their presentation, anyone for or against will be allowed the maximum 3 minutes to state their views. As you come to the microphone, please state your name and city for the record if attending in person. This is your time to raise your hand if you're joining us virtually. When your name is called, please state your name and city for the record. The mayor and commission are required to disclose contacts with proponents or opponents on any item on the planning and zoning agenda. At this time, does any member of the commission wish to disclose any contact with proponents or opponents on any item on the agenda?
Okay. Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. I have had contact with proponents of item B5, special use permit 2024-037.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner have disclosures? Okay, clerk, I believe the disclosure has been made.
Thank you. I will now read the items on the consent agenda. Change of zone applications. Item 1, COZ 2023-035, Ryan Dink. Change of zone from MP1 Planned Light Industrial and Industrial Park District to MP2 Planned General Industrial District to construct a laydown yard at 1625 South 86th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0. Item number 2, COZ 2024-018, Cesar Gonzalez. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District to keep animals on the property with multiple accessory structures at 4110 North 55th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0. Special use permits. Item 1, SP 2023-117, Steve Short with West Hills Industrial Park. Renewal of a special use permit to continue on-site grading and dirt removal at 1625 South 86th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 5 years. Item 2, SP 2024-009, Elisa Priscille with Bank of Labor. Special use permit to keep a temporary building on site while the primary structure is renovated at 1120 North 8th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 2 years. Item number 3, SP 2024-035, Andrew Basilica. Renewal of a special use permit to continue to operate a non-owner occupied short-term rental at 2504 West 47th Avenue, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 2 years. Item number 4, SP 2024-036, Jordan Peter with Kansas Gas Service. Renewal of a special use permit to continue operating a pipeline maintenance and digging training facility at 8535 Riverview Avenue, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 5 years. Item number 5, SP 2024-037, Sylvia King with Turtle Hill Community Association. Special use permit for a private pocket park with small scale events at 600 Washington Boulevard and 1308 North 6th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for an indefinite period. Item number 6, SP 2024-038, Riyadh Baghdadi with RB Architecture, Engineering and Construction. Special use permit for the expansion of an automotive heavy truck repair operation at 919 South 26th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 2 years. Item 7, SP 2024-039, Patrick Lemaru. Home occupation special use permit to produce bath products at 49 South 64th Street. Recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 2 years. Item number 8, SP 2024-041, Venta Kosari Chatalata. Special use permit to operate a liquor store at 9801 Parallel Parkway. Recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0 for 1 year. Ordinance amendment, item number 1, an ordinance setting the permissible time and place for mobile vending vehicles and for their operation within private property. Recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0. Miscellaneous ordinances. Item 1, an ordinance rezoning property located at approximately 3612 Emons Drive from R1B Single Family District to AG Agricultural District. Recommended for approval. Item 2, an ordinance rezoning property at approximately 4140 North 60th Street from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District. Recommended for approval. Item 3, an ordinance rezoning property at 3354 and 3356 North 60th Terrace from R1 Single Family District to R2 Two Family District. Recommended for approval. Item 4, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of extracting material and fill with state-approved rubble and recycling and adding the production and stockpiling of sand at 8205 and 8251R Caw Drive and 2103 South 84th Street. Recommended for approval. Item 5, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of a sand plant and dredging operation and adding the production and stockpiling of sand at 2400 South 78th Street. Recommended for approval. Item 6, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of a drinking establishment with live entertainment at 403 North 5th Street. Recommended for approval. Item 7, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of a short-term rental at 4443 Eaton Street. Recommended for approval. Item 8, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of live entertainment in conjunction with Tanner's Bar and Grill at 3900 Rainbow Boulevard. Recommended for approval. Item 9, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for a 10-day hazardous material waste transfer station at 5510 Kansas Avenue. Recommended for approval. Item 10, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of a non-owner occupied short-term rental at 2737 South 53rd Terrace. Recommended for approval. Item 11, an ordinance authorizing a home occupation special use permit to assemble jewelry at 5814 Parkview Avenue. Recommended for approval. Item 12, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for continuation of a short-term rental at 4101 Fisher Street. Recommended for approval. Item 13, an ordinance vacating a utility easement at 5222 and 5228 North 130th Terrace. Recommended for approval. Item 14, an ordinance vacating a sanitary sewer easement at 1491 North 98th Terrace. Recommended for approval. Item 15, an ordinance vacating a sanitary sewer easement at 9700 State Avenue. Recommended for approval. This represents all the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Clerk. Do any members of the Commission, the County Administrator, or the public wishes to set aside any item on the Planning and Zoning consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the Planning and Zoning consent agenda will be voted on by one vote to follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Okay. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to set aside an item? Clerk, have you been contacted with any set-asides?
The clerk has received no requests and there are no hands raised online.
Clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually that has a set-aside?
No hands are raised.
Okay, I believe that Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, we just set aside, D9. An ordinance authorizing a special use permit for a 10-day hazardous material waste transfer station at 5510 Kansas Avenue. Just want to talk about that. what kind of chemicals are we talking about? Do you guys know?
We'll set that aside, Commissioner. We'll come back to you. Clerk, were you able to capture what the commissioner was, referring to?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll set that aside. I'm sorry, commissioners, I may have gotten ahead of myself. Are there any more set-asides from our commissioners? Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Davis moves to approve.
There's a motion for approval. I'll recognize that. Is there a second?
Second, Ramirez.
All right, recognize that as well. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Clerk, can you read that set aside?
An ordinance authorizing a special use permit for a 10-day hazardous material waste transfer station at 5510 Kansas Avenue, recommended for approval.
Okay. Staff, is there any remarks?
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, thank you, Mayor. James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. This ordinance is for a special use permit SP 2024-030, which this commission approved last month. This is for a hazardous waste transfer facility, so essentially hazardous products. In this case, things like antifreeze, oily waters, oil from, cars or other equipment that's been worked on, it would come here, be sealed up, and then shipped to be disposed of. Yeah, staff's open for questions.
Thank you. Is the applicant present or the representative? Okay. I'll open a public hearing. Clerk, have you received any notification of the public who wish to express their comments in favor of the item?
Mayor, this is Wendy Green with Legal. There's no public hearing on the ordinance. The public hearing was on the special use permit, which was passed by the commission last month.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
council. Stand by. That's what's on my script. I don't, where are we at? Yeah, but. Okay. Moving on, is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of that item? Is there anyone joining us virtually, clerk, who would like to speak in favor of the item?
No hands are raised.
Clerk, have you received any direct notification of the public who wish to express their comments in opposition of that item?
No comments received.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition of that item? Please come to the podium. Nope, okay. All right. Is there anyone joining us virtually, clerk, who'd like to speak in opposition?
No hands are raised.
All right, I'll now close this public portion of the meeting. Petitioner, one more. opportunity. Is there a petitioner or representative present? Okay, I believe, we have a question from the commission, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I think it'll be very important, maybe just for the public and those watching, if we maybe explain kind of what is going on. So we have on the agenda, Section D, which says miscellaneous ordinances, and it says the following ordinances formalize previous commission approval. Council, can you just explain briefly in layman terms what that means?
Yes, Commissioner, this is Wendy Green with the legal department. So previously, this commission approved special use permit for this applicant to be able to to operate a hazardous waste transfer station at this address. So what this does is codify that approval by way of an ordinance.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me ask this question. If we were to not codify it, what would happen to that special special use permit, that application?
As that special, James Malloy Planning and Urban Design, as that special use permit, wouldn't be published as required by state law and required by its own conditions of approval, it technically dies.
Okay.
But, I mean, if it's not published, it's not official.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. The other thing I'll ask, and I know for our planning department dealing with very low staff capacity right now, so I appreciate the answers you all are giving. The other question I'll ask is, I know for these particular applicants, do we notify these folks that they're going to be on the agenda and there's a possibility that although you are on consent, that you would be removed and we would discuss your application?
typically for ordinances, we don't notify. Yeah, I mean, we don't require applicants to attend the meeting, as again, the approval of the ordinance is typically a formality. The only notice they do get is when we advise them, hey, you need to pay your ordinance publication fee. You would be on track for this hearing date for that ordinance approval, but otherwise, we don't invite them to the meeting or say they require them to be at the meeting because typically they're not presenting.
Yeah, and the reason would be if you got your approval, we would just follow up and do whatever we need to do to codify it. So I think for this particular portion, I'm in favor of it because we did already go through this. We did already vote on it. The public already had the opportunity to provide a public comment, but I just wanted the public to be aware this is the current process and it's no different than any other process and for any other applicant. With that, I will move to approve.
I'm gonna have to stand by on your move or motion, if that's what you're doing, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, I think I was in South Carolina when this meeting, when they brought that forth, but if we was to pass this, or, okay, number one, do you know if they're registered with the fire department on their chemicals?
As part of their special use permit approval, they would have to go through and get a DRC building permit for a occupancy change. The fire departments, they've had extensive conversation with the fire department on this. So they're aware of what the fire department's going to be requiring in terms of, what needs to be installed in the building, what needs to be upgraded as part of their occupancy conversion.
Okay, so like, if we was to pass this, would that open a door where they could bring in a chemical as a transfer, that would be very highly hazardous, that would basically supersede what they have on there?
As part of their approval and issuance of a building permit, there would be certain conditions placed on that by, our planning staff, building inspection staff, fire department staff. So if there's anything that's considered too dangerous or something we wouldn't want to see mixed with other items they plan to store on property, we would, disallow that as part of their.
Right, but I mean, like, how would we know at the time, they brought it in and, oh yeah, we can transfer, just bring it in and to their, whoever the supplier is. How would we know until there's a wreck? Something spill, a bad spill and oops. And now there's some serious repercussions there.
Yeah, so as part of their approval, special use permits, they have to come back and get certain approvals. But as part of this, they also have to get certain approvals from the state, which, has more oversight on these types of uses. So the state would be watching more closely. They would have to submit to the state as well as our fire department, what they're keeping on site at all times. They'd have to, display with the effect.
Or their placards.
Yeah, the chemical placards, what types of chemicals, what grade chemicals, flammability, everything like that. They would be watched pretty closely by several agencies.
It's just, my concerns is there's, a lot of residential that's not very far from there. And that's my main concern is, a bad spill, something bad happening, because there's gonna involve a lot of people that's gonna be affected by that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe there was a motion to approve, so I'm offering a second on that motion.
All right, just for clarity, Commissioner Davis, was that a motion? Okay, I will accept that motion. I will accept a second on that motion from Commissioner Townsend. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
No.
Townsend,
Aye.
Burns,
No.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Lopez,
No.
Mayor. Motion fails.
Thank you, Clerk. Commissioner Townsend, you have.
Oh, well, a question about what just happened in a statement. This item was passed last month by a majority, probably unanimously, of some of the same people sitting here. I just don't believe it's fair to the proponent or anyone who wanted to speak against it when there was a full hearing on it and it was passed. Nothing has changed since then. So I'm asking for information on what the status of what we voted on last month was, when there was a full hearing on the matter. If there were concerns about the process or what was being shipped or what might be shipped, that was the time to ask it. This really is not fair to the proponent. There was a public hearing on that. So now it seems like there's no way to issue an ordinance, but does it undo what was done last month?
This is Wendy Green with legal. It does not undo what was done last month because there was not the required amount of votes to overturn the recommendation from the planning commission. The recommendation was for approval, so that would require 8 votes. And there was not 8 votes.
No, I mean, on what was, so was it undone from what was done last month? The applicant got a permit, I guess.
So the permit still needs to be published. So there still needs to be, there still needs to be an ordinance.
So
So,
it's an issue of publication. Oh,
correct. So there
Okay.
still needs to be an ordinance that's published.
they still have the right that this commission gave them last month.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk? Yes, I believe the clerk had an item and a communication from Commissioner Hill that is going to be brought forward.
Commissioner Hill presented a letter of support that she wanted read into the record regarding SP 2024-037, Sylvia King with Turtle Hill Community Association. It's a special use permit for a private pocket park with small-scale events at 600 Washington Boulevard and 1308 North Sixth Street, which was recommended for approval by a vote of 8-0. And her comments are Turtle Hill Community Association letter of support. It is with great enthusiasm and excitement that I share my support of the Turtle Hill Pocket Park. I have lived in the Turtle Hill neighborhood for more than 20 years, and I welcome this clean and aesthetically pleasing to the eye pocket park. Thanks to Ms. Sylvia King, the board president, the board of directors, and residents and volunteers for this beautiful addition to our neighborhood. Commissioner Evelyn Hill, District 4.
Thank you, clerk, and thank you, commissioners. That concludes the planning and zoning portion of tonight's meeting. We will now move to the regular portion of our agenda, which takes us to the regular consent agenda. Do any members of the commissioner or county administrator wishes to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If any item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote.
Move to approve all items as submitted.
Okay. Before I authorize that, I believe that there are no set-asides, so there is a motion from Commissioner Ramirez. Is there a second?
Dave's second.
There's a second from Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. That takes us to our public hearing agenda. We have one item on this agenda regarding the Miles Wholesale Meats Project located at 6036 Speaker Road. We have 2 elements to this item. The first element is a public hearing to receive comments regarding the issuance of industrial revenue bonds. The second element to this item is approval by this commission of a resolution of intent to issue industrial revenue bonds in the amount of $17,450,000. I'll ask our legal department to make opening remarks and present the item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We do have the applicant here who I believe has a short presentation. We also have our bond counsel, Kevin Wimpy here. And we do have Jeff Conway here also from legal who would have a couple opening remarks, but he stepped out for just a second. So if we could have just a minute.
It's good timing. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe that we are going to be back in session. And I'm going to turn it back over to our legal counsel.
Thank you. We'll have Jeff Conway from the legal department.
Mayor, members of the commissioners, this is the Meese project. The proponents are here tonight. It's wholesale beets. It's essentially an IRB project. 17,450,000 on the incentives. It's set up for acquisition, building of the facility, sales tax exemption on the construction materials and the furniture, fixtures and equipment. And plus a 10-year abatement. And this is maybe the second one you've seen where it's a graduated abatement. So it starts off fairly heavy, I think 90%, and then tapers back down so that they're down to 15% towards the end of the 10-year period for an overall effect of around 50% abatement. And with that, I think I'd probably just turn it over to the proponents. They may have a short presentation. Kevin Wimpy, our outside bond counsel, Gilmore and Bell is here. And then I think if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer after the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the Commission. My name is Todd Fender. I'm the CFO of Meese Family Foods.
My name is Paul Meese. I'm owner, Meese Family Foods.
And we ran through this presentation at our last meeting on July 8th. Would you like for us to run through it again?
Yes.
Okay, all right,
yes.
good. Well, we are a wholesale distributor, a full service distributor of fresh and frozen beef, pork, chicken, and a wide variety of food service products. We've been serving the Kansas City and surrounding areas since 1968. Our sales projected to grow 8 to 12% annually over the next 5 years, and all of our operations will be consolidated from where we currently are in North Kansas City, Missouri, into Kansas City, Kansas. We purchased 9 acres of land, and our intention is to build a 78,000 square foot building there. The construction should begin late this summer to be completed sometime in the second quarter of 2025. Buildings improvements are forecast to be approximately $14.5 million. There's the site up there. There's our building area there. And our investment land acquisition was about just under $1.5 million. Our building improvements will be 14.5. We got $1.5 million of planned new equipment. We're going to transfer all of our current equipment from Missouri into this new facility. We currently employ 37 people, and we project that we'll have 15 new jobs over the next 3 years. We do offer full benefits, including medical, dental, 401k, and we have a median wage of $58,000. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we do have a question. I'll go anywhere. Commissioner Lopez. Before we get into the questions, stand by on that. I got to.
Okay.
Just stand by. Okay. I'm going to open a public hearing. Is there anyone present who'd like to speak on this item? Please come forward and state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator. My name is Greg Kendall, President of the Wyandotte Economic Development Council. I'm here in support of the resolution to issue industrial revenue bonds for Meese Wholesale Foods in the amount of 17.45 million and the performance agreement that goes with that. We've been working with the team at Meese Wholesale Foods since early March to identify a location for their family-owned company to expand operations. Today, we're excited that they're here to come forward and build a new 78,000 square foot facility at 6036 Speaker Road in the Muncie area off Turner Diagonal and K32. I don't know that they've really noted it, but they have roots in Wyandotte County. This is not their first time here in the community. So they grew out of the space they were in. They left and took a 22,000 square foot facility in North Kansas City. And now they're going to be coming back and building a facility that's 3 times larger and moving all of their operations back into this community. But I think Mr. Meese in particular has roots in Bonner Springs and have been here before. So we're excited to have them back. This is a sizable increase from what they currently have. And the 9-acre vacant industrial zoned site generates about $13,000 in property taxes today. If you all were to do nothing and the land remained idle, it would generate about $130,000 over the next 10 years. The proposal in front of you generates about 1.1 million in property taxes over the next 10 years, including the incentives that are being proposed. And so once fully on the tax rolls, they would create about $250,000 in annual taxes. I do want to highlight a nuance in this proposal that this is fairly new to this project. This project utilizes a front-loaded incentive in which the client receives more value in the early years as they're getting their facility operational in the construction process, and is then reduced over time so that when it comes into the property taxes in full, there isn't a big jump. And I want to shout out to the county administrator for his engagement in this conversation and process, and the client as well for seeing the value in that as well. We look forward to working with the Meese Wholesale Foods team and adding to the food-based companies that call Wyandotte County home. Their employees are paid above average wages for their industry, and it's a testament to the culture they've created. And the existing 37 employees they have, the 15 new employees that they plan to hire. This is a really great company. We've enjoyed, you've probably heard me say this privately, but we enjoy working with all companies, but we particularly love working with family-owned companies because they understand the value of the dollar. They understand that these are business decisions and they have a lot of options out there, but we're excited when companies that have a connection to Wyandotte County come back and they understand the value and the culture and want to be part of growing that here with us. So we appreciate their desire to invest here and ask that you vote in support of the resolution. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Okay. Clerk, is there anyone online who'd like to speak on this item?
No hands are raised.
Okay. I'm now going to close the public hearing, and I believe we have a question from Commissioner Lopez.
When your employees are your employees paid every week, every other week?
We were paid bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Yes.
So you're roughly so roughly your payroll is a little over 2.1 million, roughly, going off 37 employees at 58,000 a year. I'm sorry, wait a minute, let me back that up. That's your payroll is roughly 2.1 a year. Is that right? Does that sound about right?
No, it is higher than that.
Oh, it's higher than
Yeah, in
that?
total, it is.
So your revenue right now, like what'd you guys do last year?
Just under 120 million.
120 million?
Yes.
So you can afford to build what you need to build without all these incentives, right?
As a part of our whole due diligence and throughout this whole process and taking into consideration, the opportunity that we have here with these incentives, we're played a big part in it. So.
Right. No, I understand that, but I mean, I'm just saying you guys are coming over from KCMO. I know their taxes are higher than ours. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say is we all got to pay our taxes. All the businesses do. And these tax abatements is killing us. It's killing us. And we're regardless, we're not going to get, whoever over here, these companies over here, they're going to come regardless. But I'm just saying that's this kind of stuff is what's really hurting us. At the end of the day, I'm 100% for small business. 100%. And I love your history, how you guys started out, mom and dad's house, I think, or parents or grandparents. That's how I started. I started out with a trailer too. I borrowed it until I was able to buy it for $700, and then now I own all my equipment. But that's my only problem with the whole thing. But so that's I was just trying to put numbers together and just look at this on the outside. But all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the commission? Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a question, but I wanted to make a point that was made in standing committee where this passed from. And in the materials we have tonight, there's the tax payment schedule proposed. Currently, my recollection from the July 8th meeting was that that land is currently yielding 13,000, was it 13,000 or 13 million? Is there anyone here who can?
It's 13,000.
13,000 annually. And so the proposal before us tonight would yield $19,367 in taxes the first year, and continue to escalate to year 10 to $196,733. So clearly, we would be, the unified government, be getting more in property taxes, not less, from this proposal. And gentlemen, if you don't mind sharing, how much did you pay for the land?
Just under $1.5 million.
Okay, so you put that investment and you're proposing a schedule that would increase the taxes that we would receive, the unified government, according to Schedule C, correct?
I believe so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, the deal has already been. Right, there we go. Yeah, the deal has already been made. And I understand that, but and just Commissioner Townsend's comment, you know, that she's correct on that. But in the future, when we have more outfits come in, I mean, yes, it would be it's bringing a lot more money than what it is now, but it could be bringing a lot more than that. For, you know, for a big corporation that's done well. I mean, if I wanted to move and go get, you know, I'd have to just pay what it is. So, I just wanted to bring that to light. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to make a motion to approve the, are we at that point? Can I do that?
You can.
Absolutely. I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution to intent.
Second.
Whatever I want to say. Thank you, Commissioner. It's a motion in support of the intent to issue the IRBs.
Okay, there's a motion and a second from, who gave the second?
Commissioner Burns.
Commissioner Burns. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes the portion of our regular meeting, and I adjourn us in that capacity. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment as the Board of Commissioners.
I
and
am so moved.
And I'll call us back to order as the Land Bank Board of Trustees. There's a motion and a second, clerk roll call.
I'm sorry, who made the second?
Ramirez.
Thank you. Roll call, Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are the Land Bank Board of Trustees. It's, as far as this consent agenda, do any members of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the Land Bank consent agenda?
Davis,
Excuse Hearing none, it's a motion.
Davis moves to approve.
Okay, there's a motion second.
Second, Ramirez.
Got a motion and a second. Clerk roll call.
Roll call Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll now move to the Land Bank Board of Trustees non-consent agenda. We have one item under the non-consent agenda. It's Land Bank options. This item involves property located. Clerk, help me out because I believe there was a correction on these addresses.
Mr. Knapp, do you have the correct addresses?
Yes, it is 2528.
And what's the other one?
Is it 2528 North Halleck and 2526 North Halleck?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So 2528 and 2526 North Hollick, for the record. Okay. Mr. Knapp, you can make the opening comments.
This item was held at standing committee because there was no neighborhood meeting. That neighborhood meeting has taken place and the neighborhood has sent us an email that said that they approve the items.
Okay. Do any members of the commission have any comments or questions? Oh, Commissioner Bynum.
Mayor, move to approve the two land bank options.
Townsend second.
Okay, okay, there's a motion and a second. Clerk roll call.
Roll call Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Lopez.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay. We have no further business tonight before the governing body. Before I call for an adjournment, I just want to say thank you to my staff again. They really worked hard. And thank you for the commission for supporting our community and hearing their stories tonight. I know that's both valued and appreciated by so many in the commission to be able to be recognized by this body, not just the mayor's office, but it was all of us recognizing these unsung heroes in our community. And I just wanted to make note, and I've told some of you, if you all, I know you got your dot cards, but if you have individuals or businesses in your district that you would like to present, not from me, but you want to make a presentation as you saw tonight, please get with my chief of staff, Irene Cadillo, and she can get those made up for you on your behalf. And I'll be glad to allow you to make presentations so you too can honor and joining and honoring a lot of good folks doing great things in our community. And so thank you, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question. I don't remember when you rolled that out last month or a week ago, whenever it was. Is it going to be a once a month? I cannot remember. How often will you present?
Well, part of it is going to be predicated on when we look at the agenda.
Yeah.
And if it's a full agenda, don't expect that. And so we kind of looked at tonight's agenda. We kind of gauged it and saw that the agenda wasn't too heavy. So it kind of fit into tonight's agenda. But
Okay.
normally it would play it by ear.
Okay,
So,
thank you. You answered. Thank you, Mayor.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right.
Motion
Okay.
to adjourn.
All right. There's a motion and a second to adjourn. Clerk roll call, I'm sorry.
Roll call Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.